what we do is basically closing the information gap in the power sector in Nigeria and Africa at large. The reason I chose to get into power, um, I'll just say fate led my feet here, and I loved it. So this is me going through it happily, gracefully.
My name is Olabusayomi Omofe. I'm with the Electricity Hub as well. I'm a policy research analyst there. As Betty already said, we run the communication, we close the communications gap between the energy space. So anything energy related, we are the guys. What led me to this place? I think I felt too ignorant coming out of school because I studied international relations. I liked what I studied, but then where I wanted to, I knew it's going to be in trickles if I'm going to be better. Like, why don't you learn something else? So any offer that came, can you do this? And I'm like, I want to learn. And good enough, I always had interest in society development, particularly organization of rural communities. So finding myself in the energy space is just like, okay, step one, step two, to where I really want to be. And I really like being in this space, in the sustainable development as well. It's one of the core things we have to do.
I'm Victoria Machi, the human resource person at Nextier. What led me to pursue a career in HR? Pretty much, I would say maybe my personality contributed largely and my upbringing. So I've always been very, keen on people, how humans just contribute to how things work and all of that stuff. So it was just, I'll say that my journey has been one of someone who was just passionate about seeing that the system works. And I'd come in as an intern, of course, and because I didn't have a background in human resource, I have a background in education and all of that, I got in and I was very fortunate to work with someone who, really had grasp of human resource, and while assisting her, I just pretty much found that, this was something I really wanted to do. So at the end of my service year, I would get the job, get on it, and over time we've been here. It's been 4 years now, and I'm really enjoying it, and I'm glad I'm on this spot.
My name is Queen Agomo. I'm the Sales and Operations Manager at Stimaco. Stimaco is into smart metering solutions for energy utilities using AI and advanced IoT technology. So what brought me into the renewable energy sector? I've been here for over 5 years now. Somebody who is very passionate about alleviating poverty and just basically looking at development, economic development nationally. And I wanted to ensure that part of my life's work was reflected through the impact that's made to the common man, to the common woman. And that's really what is my driving force to being in the energy sector, because the energy is central to all sectors, or development of all sectors. And so this is usually what brings me joy.
I'm Chidimma, I'm a health analyst at Nextier. Why did I choose my path? I love sciences. I love understanding how things work, the causes of things, and health. I studied pharmacy at the undergraduate level. Health gives me that opportunity to kind of combine my love for sciences and helping people, right? So I used to be in the private sector, retail pharmacy, medical marketing for a long time before, over the course of my work, I started seeing that, yes, the dividends of innovation is great. Like, we have advanced technologies, but the proceeds of these things are not evenly distributed, right? We have situations where a lot of people can't afford them. It's just like for a particular set of people in society. So I started thinking around how can we make healthcare more affordable, more accessible to people, and that's what brought me to Nextier. I'm glad I chose this path. So far I'm enjoying it. Thank you. A lot of our conversations are going to be tailored around LPT, women in the workplace, issues of LPT. So I'll begin by asking, have you ever had a situation where you felt treated differently because of your gender? You seem like the youngest person on the panel. We want to get your perspective from a young woman who who is getting into the workplace, who is trying to steer away in the world. Have you ever had a situation where you felt treated differently because of your gender?
Yes.
Okay.
Like, even like side comments from colleagues and stuff like that, and it's like, oh, okay. But then I don't really let those things get me, because you're just talking on plain level. You're not, I don't know how to put it, but then you're just talking on plain level. That's not who I am, that's not who I want to be. Or when I tell people that I'm working towards getting my PhD, they're like, once you get married, once you settle, why does marriage have to stop me from pursuing my career? Why does the fact that I have children want to? There's so many hanging things around that, but then yeah, it's very normal. I mean, even with school, they told my mom not to send me to a private university because I'm a woman and I'll get married. So they shouldn't waste too much money on my head. Yeah. So like being treated differently because you're a woman. Sometimes I'm not because that sometimes has its advantages. Sometimes they have the advantages, but yeah, it's common.
Okay, so you find out that those conversations are around things they feel should be your priority. Your priority should be more of marriage before your career.
They always want to dictate who I should be.
Okay.
They always dictate to me where I want to be. Or they tell me you can't be moving around too much, you have to settle down at some point. But naturally, I like adventure. I don't want to stay in a particular place for too long.
Yeah.
And I don't think because I'm going to be married to a man, I'll now have to, okay, so first delete this part of yourself and all of that. And there's this myopic level of adventure that people see. Like they see that, okay, if I'm saying I'm adventurous now, I have to leave Abuja and go to Kaduna. I have to leave Kaduna and go to, what if it's just for a short period of time? What if it's just to learn something and come back to my base? Because you can't get everything you want in a particular location. So yeah, there's just so many things tied around that.
I agree with you. Very early on in my career, I faced that same issue. People would ask, oh, Chibra, why are you always talking about, oh, you want to do this degree, you want to do this, why does marriage fit in? But somebody, I will use the word, somebody said, after all these things you're doing, if you're not married, it's bullshit. You have to be loyal. I mean, so I experience less of that and to take guts for somebody to walk up and tell me that now. But I think I can agree with you. So Queen, what have you faced these challenges? You are a senior level professional. Have you experienced, you can even maybe earlier in your career or even now as somebody in a leadership position, have you experienced issues where people treat you differently because of your gender?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, being a woman would definitely more different than a man, right? Because you start with the physical attributes, and then given the societal context, you know, in Nigeria in particular, you know, we live in a patriarchal society where, you know, women are seen as lesser value than men, right? And so in that context, there's a lot of bias, there's a lot of prejudice, there's a lot of stereotypes that are being placed on women, especially in the workplace. And you know, because men believe that women should be at home with children, believe that women should not take on certain kind of jobs, maybe like very technical jobs, you know, and so there's this bias, and it actually is formed from that foundation of the society, how someone is being brought up, the kind of you know, cultural norm that they imbibe when, you know, their parents speak to them, when they're, you know, neighbors, like the way they grew up in. And I think that's usually how this is formed. Now, when you bring that to a workplace is a diverse environment where you see different kinds of people. And so definitely there's always going to be stereotypes against women. And so I feel like if you're asking if I encounter that, yes, I do encounter that, but then I think the question should also be, how do you respond to that? Because as a woman, I know who I am. I have a different mindset because I was trained in a different kind of setting, different kind of background, having gone overseas to study, have an independent way of thinking about life, seeing life from a different perspective, you know, seeing other women thrive having role models to look up to, that has shaped my, you know, my life, the way I think, the way I see my future. So when I come into a workplace and I meet somebody who unfortunately has an archaic way of thinking about women, you know, I do not let them deter me, right? I you know, make myself visible and make my voice be heard. You know, so what I want is what I want, and I give my reasons, right? So if it's in a situation of being asked to undertake a certain task, if I believe that this is not what I want, I let my thoughts be known. And I feel like a lot of women should become, you know, less afraid to speak out for who they are, and you know, to be able to convey their thoughts, their decisions, their opinion. You know, let your voice be heard, because when you talk about equity, you know, most of the time women, because of the kind of nature we come from, especially women from the northern part, you know, they see respect as not being outspoken, right? They feel like if you're outspoken, that's disrespectful. So that's some nuances that we need to make our voice heard. Of course, not disrespectfully. You let them know what you think respectfully, and I feel like women's voice should be heard, and we should be intentional about ensuring that our voices count, not, you know.
So thank you. We've shared deep insights into the question. So what I hear from you is that yes, those differences, those biases exist, but what's important is how do you address them. And what I heard from you is women should be more assertive, women should know who they are, they should be confident. That's a good way of responding to that. You also said something about physical attributes. I wanted to gain more insight or clarification on that. Do you think what I get from what you said is like, do people pay more attention on women and their physical attributes over their technical competence? Is that what you meant, or could you throw more light on that?
Okay, that's a very interesting question you asked. I believe when it comes to physical attributes as a woman, God has endowed us, right? We are wonderfully and fearfully made, right? And that's just who we are. We can't help it. But I feel like somehow men have objectified the way women are. And I feel like for a woman to demand her respect, especially in the workplace, you have to be decent in appearance. That takes away the focus from the way you're being shaped to who you are as an individual, right? I feel like when you talk about physical attributes, it's good for a woman to look good, because I believe that how you dress is how you be addressed. And so most of the time you see men, they don't struggle in the way they look. They just put on their shirt and their pants and they look smart. But women, we have to take extra effort to ensure that we're not sending out messages that we don't intend to send out, so that doesn't in turn bring in disrespect to our persons.
Okay, interesting. Because I always say this, like, you see a female president with very few exceptions. You see a female, the first focus is her shoes, her dress, her hair, the cost, the color. But you see a man speaking and the focus is on what is it bringing to the table. So I feel I see that play out a lot, and thank you for pointing that out. Queen helped put more insight into the question. How did you respond to that? Can you share?
Well, of course, as a woman, it is almost natural now to have those kind of reactions from people where they treat you differently because you're a woman. For me, starting off, sometimes I even get people even underestimate you know, what you can do because you're a woman, especially if you're a beautiful woman. They just assume that the reason you got there was because you are beautiful, so you probably walked your way through to that point, right? So those are some of the issues I've had to face, and then having to constantly, it puts me under pressure to try to prove myself that, I actually came here because I have something upstairs, not because I'm beautiful and I probably smiled too much to somebody, right? But overall, I have come to understand that it's not something that is going to stop. It's not something that is, at least not anytime soon. So it's just for me to adapt to it, get used to it, not allow it to affect me. Like Osaya said, I do not let it deter me. I just put in my best in any case, put in my best, try to contribute my quota, and also try to develop myself so that I can bring more to the table. Because I feel there's a lot of pressure on women. For men, it's almost like, okay, you say you can do it, no problem, we can give you a try. But for a woman, there's that extra, there's that extra pressure. So that's it.
I like the perspective you just shared, right? I've been in situations where I will see a woman, I won't call names, and I'm like, oh my god, this man has done a lot. And somebody close I don't need, do I know what she did to get there? Like, excuse me, I'm talking about somebody heading this kind of organization that needs core technical competence, right? And you're telling me, so I like that perspective you shared. People always feel like, let me not speak always feel, but sometimes there are these biases that, oh, and I think this also points to that thing about seeing a woman as a beautiful, as an object first, and yes, you're not really seeing
Half of she is.
half of who she is, and there's also a point when you raise, because there are conversations around, oh, women say they are being objectified, women say they are these, but the way they dress, the signals they send.
See, these things, I believe that these things will stop, right? In the northern part of Nigeria, women get raped, women that will cover themselves from head to toe, they wear hijab, they wear niqabs, they wear socks and hand gloves, they are covered from head to toe. The only thing you can see is their eyes, yet they get raped, right? So people will always have these notions. For me, I consider that a thing. I love decent dressing. I am one to encourage people to dress decently, right? But don't be forced to look a certain way because you're trying to make somebody feel comfortable, because they will never be comfortable at the end of the day.
Interesting. I think I like the perspective.
Adding to what Mercy said here, there's just this thing with women, there's just this, as she said, there was pressure. There's a thing with women where they always want you to please. You have to try so hard, extremely well to please. Like, why wearing flats today? Why you not wearing this today? What if my leg is paining me and I can't
Expectations.
like, there's just a lot of expectations, but then they'll just see this guy that, okay, yeah, he's good to go, let him go. But they'll inspect everything from you, and even not even just appearance, like even delivery. You just want to that I'm a woman and I can do it, but you're doing enough. You just want to be seen by others. We are not blind, we can't see you, but then there's just that pressure to please, and I feel like it's really unfair to women considering mental health too. So, because there's just, and it beats down people's confidence. I don't know, because it beats down people's confidence because you're seeing somebody that he doesn't do much and he's done, and this is you're doing times 5, and they're still like, if the letter K is small, it will be better than this first one. So yeah, that's another problem too.
Yes. Yeah, I think to shed some light to this response, women, we are naturally at a disadvantage. It sounds terrible, but that's just the truth. Especially in this part of the world, women are naturally at a disadvantage. So yes, you see that we have to work times 2, a man's effort, and that's common. And one way of working smart around that is to ensure that you are very efficient and you're also very excellent in your delivery. So when a woman makes a mistake, it's more amplified, right? Than when a man makes a mistake. Because women naturally, people are drawn to our weaknesses. Mm-hmm. It's just what it is. It's just the way I've come to experience being a woman in this part of the world, right? And so I feel like for women, we need to do double efforts. So, like has been mentioned, take the requisite certificate to make sure that you are qualified, you have all the tools, you're well prepared in terms of you have the knowledge, and then you're able to apply it. Then you have good time management skills so that you're very efficient at what you do. Because when a man makes a mistake, it's way lower than when a woman makes a mistake. So I feel like women need to understand this and also double up. Yeah.
A lot of the expectations start from when we're little. I grew up in a home where I was given equal opportunity, so that's not what I'm saying. But I also felt a lot of pressure. Oh, do like this, you're a woman. You don't know you're a woman. Do like this, you don't know you're a woman. So there's this thing of that we've been brought up to see that you have to be this perfect model, right? So I think men grow up with that expectation. And even with the good expectation, you're also told not to be seen. Oh, hide yourself. Oh, a woman is seen, not heard. So I think this expectation starts from when we're little. So I think you haven't spoken on this, Victoria, and I'm very much interested in hearing your perspective about have you experienced situations where you felt treated differently because you're a woman. How did you respond to them? Hopefully, other women can also learn from this.
So like every other person, has said, we as women in the workplace, right, these things are almost never going to go away. And I remember my earliest days in the workplace, I almost wanted to leave the corporate space, and start up a personal business. Because one of the things I really, really do not like is being brought, reduced to the word sexy. So I walk into the room and someone looks at you and says, "Oh, you look sexy today." And the first thing that comes to my mind is, what happened to the word beautiful? What happened to the word smart? What happened to the word, adorable? Just something else. Why that word? And I will make so much. I'll feel so bad about it. I could actually have a bad day because of a compliment. But I had to embrace it. I had to begin to empathize, with my colleagues. And you see, when we make it about the men, right, then we're not being very fair to men, because these comments don't just come from only men.
Yes.
You even find that your female colleagues as well almost take it upon themselves to, want to make you feel like, oh, today, man, is about your body. Well, you're here actually to work, right? So I had to begin to empathize with other people as well, because some days you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, damn, girl, you're beautiful. You can't help it, right? So it's to now begin to see how that, okay, so you're a breath of fresh air, and people want to take in some air, but how do you now walk around that and ensure, like Queen rightly said, you have to ensure as a woman that you're excellent. You can't have an excuse as a woman, right? Because already your weaknesses are amplified. Everyone expects you to fail anyways, so you're just going to give in to that. So if you really want to get respect in the workplace and all of that, then you now have to work twice as hard. Yeah, and I find that even currently, where as an HR person, you're kind of like in between management and the people. You want to tell people what to do. You find the female colleagues easily just take, the instructions or your suggestions and they run with it. The guys most times will come at you, and they're not coming at you because what you've said is trash or stuff, but because they feel like, oh, you're a woman, right? I wouldn't like to paint this scenario, but I had an incident once where I had told the entire office, "Oh, hey, this is what we were doing," and some guy pulls me into the room and he looked me in the eyes and he said to me, "How would you send that kind of an email?" I was so for
that's
actually So I was dumbfounded. I was like, "Is anything wrong?" Of course, the first thing you want to do is, okay, I want to hear you. So you cannot do that. You didn't even ask. You didn't ask. The opinion of the guys, but this was not an attack on the men, right?
Mm-hmm.
If anything, I actually even recalling this particular incident, I actually even think that the women were even more disadvantaged, right? Because it was a conversation around dressing. And you know how it gets with women, and outfits in the workplace and all of that. It's really very dicey, it's tricky. For men, it's straightforward. If you say corporate casual, you know what it is. But for women, it's a bit dicey and all that. So you put me in the room and then you're having this conversation. And the thought is, if the HR person were to be a man, would we have that conversation? So those are some of the challenges that women face in the workplace. And really it's to it's to brace up for impact, man. When you're coming into the space, is to be ready and know that hey, these challenges that we face at home, in schools, and other places, it's not so different. Thank God for evolved colleagues, because when we work with people who are evolved, you find that you might not have these challenges. I mean, things have improved over time for me, and I find that every day, people just keep adjusting and getting better and all of that, but you just must spend some energy trying to get that respect.
Maybe I should just share my challenge. I haven't. So personally, I wouldn't say I have experienced a lot of barriers. I mean, besides the side talks and people advising you, maybe because I'm a bit more of a forceful person, and so so it ends at side talks. But I see that a lot. I just don't. I mean, people just take me for who I am and what I want to do. So that's my own experience. But I can see how that is possible because I'm a bit of a more forceful kind of person. So that's my perspective. Sorry, I have to start from here. I have to start from here again. Maybe you tell us your experiences around inequities in the workplace. Do you think they exist? If they exist, how do they exist? And I'm going to come to Mercy and Queen, who are at managerial levels in their career, and then I'm going to come to Victoria to also give us that perspective from the human resources perspective. So, beside
I don't think, what I think is unfair is that as a woman, you're doing your job, somebody else is even seeing that you're doing, okay, let me start from someone like me. I came into this space, I didn't know anything at all, like I was like a blank paper. So it got to a point that there was a time that I just had to pick up everybody's duty and task at the same time, do as much as possible. Somebody saw that, okay, you're doing well, and he sent me, God bless him, he sent me an article to read as a woman how to ask for an increment in your pay. I also want to give my friend's example that her boss said that he's not going to increase her pay because he can't manipulate her, he's going to manipulate a man. I was very confused. What do you mean manipulate a man? Like he can't call her to do this by 10 p.m. He can't call her to do that, so she has to manage that for now. That is I don't know the level of misogyny that would be, because this person is doing 3 times the work he's doing. You don't give him the work. It has to go through her. Even if you give the guy the work, it has to go through her. If he doesn't do well, it's still her own fault. So like that payday own, or how they do like women this, women that, they just so like it's not once, it's not twice. I've read different scenarios. There's a time when they did horrible bosses era on Twitter. I saw how women were just degraded in pay, and they're like, okay, just manage this. At some point, I like to justify myself with that, okay, right now you're just starting, you're not working for the money, just gather the experience. At some point where you've learned, the money is just going to be like something feeble to you and all of that. So that's one thing I used to, let me just say, old body to do that. Then other situations are situations of like traveling, and we hear something that, okay, maybe she's on her period, mood swings, we don't want her to go and misbehave in front of clients, this, that. But this person prepared, she prepared the slides, she prepared for this trip, she prepared everything. And I just like, okay, Joseph or James, take this, present it. And she's just sitting her back because, oh, you're too scared that she doesn't know how to comport herself after preparing for hours and hours and hours. So yeah, those are the things. This is not entirely about me, obviously. I've seen the lives of women that I feel like one inequities that play around. Or even driving. When you don't drive well, let me check, is a woman. Everybody.
We did a project on women's leadership, and this is one of the things that came up. The men's club, whether it's in the golf club, in the evening, drinking beers, discussing who goes
meetings before meetings.
Meetings before meetings. Okay, interesting perspective. Sorry, the book that I gave you, that the lady one of the top media person, who was trying to ask for a raise from her boss, when the male mentor. So I think the conversation went something around, she met her boss and was like, look at me, I work so hard, I'm suffering, sleepless nights, like, it takes a lot, I have to dress so fine. So the man was confused, like, what are you saying? Like, so it was the mentor told her it's not to kind of ask in a more objective way, right? To okay, this is what I do, this is the value I create, this is the value I should get. And so even in that book they said things about women also wanting to be liked by virtue of how we are raised. We want to be accepted. So you see you working so hard. So I think you gave an example that made me laugh. Say your boss can come out from the trip and say, oh, let me say, oh, Queen, you're so instrumental to the firm. We appreciate all you do. I got you this earring or this bag as a token of your appreciation. But when this guy call a guy and say, oh, you're so grateful to take this pair of stockings. The guy will tell you like, are you crazy? It should be reflected in my pay or my promotion. But our women, most times our end game, we don't know it subconsciously, still that desire to be accepted, to not be seen, and just to be, oh, you're doing well.
Just
Oh, yes. So that's why I was digging at that question to find out, oh, could you recognize some of those biases? Because, well, people say, I don't know, but by fact that we're women, that many men are more agreeable, less prone to conflict. So did you see those factors playing when you asked, or did you think you asked objectively? This is the value I give. This is what I get.
I asked objectively actually because I didn't want to attribute any personal. Okay, because I do this, because we talk about this. I just asked objectively with my value. Like, okay, this is what I feel like I have done. This is what I feel like I'm doing right now, and this is what I feel like I should be doing. Another example is when I was 7. I was working 2 jobs when I was 7. So we're supposed to go for this outreach. I designed a lot of things, kept the work together, and I was like, you did well, I'll buy you lunch. And the next Friday, they're like, your voice is not loud enough. I know my voice. Like I help people with PVC. I know how loud my voice can be. Your voice is not loud enough. I need an authoritative one. So this person, you have to do it. I regretted eating that food that day. It felt like I gave up my breakfast. I worked so hard, especially because you don't feel like I sound authoritative enough. You can't give me that one. And now the person wants 200,000 naira. And I got lunch. I got lunch.
And still we can also trace this to the cultural perspective of seeing men as people who are providers, who take care of women. So I also think we should bring that to the workplace. So not seeing this woman as somebody who is earning, as someone I'm taking care of. So when I was doing my internship, I'm not going to call the organization, we all came late for once. My boss called all of us and said, so he said I will excuse the guy for coming late because he's a man, he's not sleep. How you women, what are you doing? What is that? So thank you for sharing your perspective.
Some people actually pay women less because they feel that they don't have people that are taking care of. And
Yes,
they pay the men
correct.
less because they are married, they have children, it's a family man.
Yes. I was going to come to you, Mercy, to share. Do you think there is inequity in the workplace? Do you feel women are treated unfairly? What have been your experiences? It must be that you experience them directly from observation, especially as you're leading a team. What can you say?
Well, I would want to speak from the pay gap before the gender pay gap before I move to other things. So for gender pay gaps, right, as much as these biases do actually exist, I believe that there is more to your negotiation skills. That's why I'm not going to fault the person who gave Usari a document to read, because there is a way to go about these things. It's about how you can stick to the value you bring, how you are convinced, how much you're convinced about the value you bring and what it's worth. So the pay gap issue, I wouldn't say that I've experienced so much of it, but yes, I've experienced other sides of other equity issues, right? In somewhere I worked before, the ladies were not allowed to make certain trips because they are ladies. It's too far. You're going to sit down for too long. So you're a woman. You're going to have fatigue. You'll now come back and break down. So women cannot go. It has to be men. And I do not understand why, because it's not like you're going there to farm. You're not going there to harvest yam. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? You're not going there to harvest yam. You're actually going there to assess a situation, make recommendations and all of that. So what exactly is the gender issue about? What exactly, do you understand my point?
Yes.
Where are you coming from? So that's one of the issues amongst that's one that I'm willing to share on this stuff.
So just to add to what Mercy said, about women, so that the whole trip stuff and all. So from where I sit, you see a lot of very weird requests from women, right, as to why they should be out of the office. Like literally. Someone sends you a message and, oh, my period came today, so I can make it to the office, right? And what this does is it's training your managers and the people, who are in authority to begin to think that, oh, there are going to be days when, oh, this other woman is also not going to be able to make it because her period came, right? This might sound very weird. We know that there are women who have really serious, cramps and all of that, and we need to, of course, understand the unique circumstances and care for them. But okay, you're not going to show up at the office because your period came. Oh wow. Okay, are you okay? Are you fine? Are you going to the hospital? Oh no, I just need to be home today. This while Messi was talking, actually, I remember this particular one. It was just so. I remember when I read the email and the line manager read the email. I it was just such a weird thing because I've never experienced it before. But you can imagine in an organization where you have over 1,000 or 2,000 women, and then everybody coming with this different stuff, and then someone saying, "Oh yeah, I'm pregnant. I just discovered now that I'm pregnant, so my emotions is all over the place." That's understandable. We can empathize with you, but you now want to take the whole time. And not, of course, the maternity leaves, all of those policies, and we should be able to support women such that women can take time off. But it's also important that women also in the workplace, I think it's this whole bit on, I don't want to use my leave days, right? But I'm going to find a way to be out of the office. So what do? I want to weaponize being a woman and use it to my advantage. Oh, after all, you're a man, so you don't understand what it feels like to, be on your period. So if there are many the people who are making decisions and saying, oh, women cannot do 1, 2, 3, we also need to begin to look back and see the women who've gone ahead of us, right? How have they trained managers? How have they trained people in authority, to view women? And, it is now for the current women in the workplace, the onus lies on us now to begin to say, hey, man, we can do these things, and it doesn't matter that I'm a woman or not, right? I'm equally as competent, and I have this level of strength. I mean, it's not farm work, as Messi said, right? It's not farm work, and you also find that. So, a guy and his female colleague, they are on a trip, right? And the woman wants to be taken care of. She feels that, oh, you should give me extra care because I'm a woman and I'm out on a trip with you. You should go find the lunch for us. You should be a gentleman. And these things happen. Like, these things happen all the time, right? Yeah. And it's not, what women are indirectly doing, right, is that you're training people to relegate you to the weaker seat.
True.
So as women, when we're having conversations around equity, because we're saying consider our unique circumstances, we also need to begin to touch on subjects that also women will also need to understand, that you do not now begin to tweak it. I'm trying to get a very good example to really buttress what I'm saying, but none really comes to mind at the moment. But I think also women are, in a way, right, contributing to these things happening.
Yeah, and to share what Victoria said, so if I was in medical sales, and when my role was advertised, we were 18 men and 2 women. All came for the interview. I said, oh, we have 2 girls with us. I didn't take offense, but with time, so I understood why he tried to make mockery. This involved traveling 6 states in the north, just to make it good. And he said, oh, you're a woman, you can't do it, you can't do this, you can't do that. And I had to tell him, I understand your concerns, right? But what should concern is how I deliver on this work. And I'm sure you're not going to spend extra costs. It meant that I had to get driving and pay myself. And I saw that doing that helped shift the perspective. So I never had all those conversations around, hey, a woman cannot go to Kano, a woman can do this. And another thing happened when my manager came to work with me. So normally it's a medical rep that drives the manager. He wanted to drive. Him being the manager because he felt, oh, oh, you know, and I was like, no sir, right? I can't let you drive. Like I try to maintain that level of this is what you're also seeing male colleagues. So I'm just trying to address your point, which leads into the next set of questions. How do you draw that balance? Because there are also conversations around their unique perspective, their unique experiences to being female. Female have to be pregnant and go on maternity leave and stuff like that. And I remember we were having a conversation around that in the office. And a colleague said, why should a firm incur extra costs to build a creature to accommodate you if they can get, from a strict business perspective, if they can get the same economic value from someone else, a man, a woman who have decided not to have kids, why should the firm incur that extra cost to accommodate? So these are not. It's a moral thing, right? So I just want to really get to. There's no right or wrong, but I just wanted to get your perspectives around. How do we draw that balance between? So I'll maybe start with Victoria now. Because women have unique experiences, and just how do we draw that balance? I think you have a question.
Okay, so I would start from the. I think I'll take the conversation in a different angle, right? Because when we talk about and then addressing the question, right, that we're having the other day in the office, like why do I have to hire you when I would, get someone else and I have to spend all of this cost? That's with the assumption, right, that this guy that you're hiring would not be as involved in his family, right, as the woman would be involved. True, women would need more time off work, but we're beginning to hear conversations around paternity leaves and all of that stuff. And men also need time off to go bond with their babies because we're raising families now. People have been raising kids who just have the presence of the mother, and then no father figure, no father presence there, and we see the crack that this brings to society. Maybe because I am very passionate about the human aspect, of development and all of that. Maybe because of that, I always like to take my thoughts and my views. I like to always look at things from family to society. So even when I'm looking at the workplace and all of that, I want to see, okay, what was family like? What was the background like? Because this also helps you to empathize with people and see where they're coming from. And if you don't even understand the challenges the person is facing, right, you're not even really able to lend a hand. Yeah. So in terms of bridging that gap, first things first is objectivity in the workplace, right? If I'm very objective as to, hey, this is what needs to be delivered, and this is how it should be delivered, and I'm sure you've heard me say this all more than once before, that if you have people who are not just star performers, but who are committed owners, it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter if they need time to be out of work. Maybe because we are in the knowledge space, and as knowledge workers, you can almost be anywhere and really give in your all. If your soul is in the business, maybe because of that, some other person in manufacturing might not have this this level of this level of flexibility. However, I can only speak from where I sit. Yeah. So it shouldn't really matter. Yeah, once people are delivering, that's one. And then secondly, in supporting women, we say we want to bridge the gap and all of that. I will still come back to women because it's International Women's Day, right? And it's about, yes, we want people to support us. I don't like women's being at that place where, we want the men to be doing this for us to be better. I feel like as women, we can fix our problems, right? As women, we can come up with the solutions, right? If no woman ever came up and said, I'm out on this street, take care of me and all of that. When I go on the trip with the guy's not trained. Men naturally are trained to treat you. You train a man how to treat you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you train a man how to treat you. Your boss is not going to. So I used to be in a procurement role as a student. So I did procurement for this construction firm the whole time, and I was working with guys. I was the only female on the team, and we would travel. You would bid for stuff, and they would buy all of that. I remember, like, I would wear my jeans. Lectures are over, and I've always been this, a lot of energetic young woman. And I would wear my jeans, and I would go to the construction site where it's happening. I want to see them offload the gravel. And when I was leaving, when I was leaving school to go for service, and I hired another lady, and the lady was sitting in the office, and she's making calls, and things are going wrong. And before you know, they shut down the branch. I was like, when I heard the story, I was like, no, you don't do that, right?
Okay.
Because you can't get under the sun because I'm female, my skincare, until wear sunscreen. Right? If you have to do what you have to do, if you've decided that you're going to be in the workplace, you're going to have to tell yourself, these are my this is my unique circumstance, and then I have to. What do I need to do? What do I need to do to equip myself, right, to be fit for this job, to perform?
So are you saying that women should not have special considerations? Because the argument is now this, that to be female, women menstruate, men don't. Women have to give birth. Women have to go on maternity leaves. Women play a huge role, especially at the infant level. That if we say we're not going to put all these into consideration, but the conversation people are having is we need to put these things into consideration. And they don't mean that you're treating the woman differently, that they mean you are accommodating for something, because the man has a baby too, but the opportunity cost for the woman is higher, right? And looking at it, they also want to encourage women to also play these roles. Look at a country like South Korea. I think they realized that less women were having babies because they wanted to grow their career, and they started inventing all these women-friendly policies. So are you saying those policies shouldn't be there? Some organizations will say, okay, maternity leave, have a crash where you can bring your nanny, even leave, sick days, menstrual cramps. And I don't want to undermine it. I've seen a simulation, I don't know how true is that, where men were subjected to pain, if you're screaming on top of their lungs. So are you for or against that? These policies, because some organizations have it, it's not your fault that you're biological females. Are you saying they shouldn't have it, or they should have it? Let me have a perspective.
So it's first, I'm all for policies that support women, right? I'm going to have a baby someday, so I want you to, give me that extra consideration and stuff. But that's even beyond me. Like, it's really beyond me. It's not just about having a baby someday. But you see, it's a two-way street, yeah? Where when you have these policies in place to support women, so I'm also saying that while you're getting that level of support, that level of encouragement and all of that as a woman, you also don't have to now sit back and say, oh, because I'm a woman, everything should be given to you. That's just all I'm saying, right?
Okay.
So colleagues, organizations, managers, leaders, everything you can do, right, within reasonable consideration to support women. It's really not easy being a professional woman, especially once you start raising babies, and it's not easy.
So you're saying those considerations should
be
there?
Of course, they should be there. Yeah, but women should not, take advantage of them and say, oh, because of that.
Why not me? I'm very interested in your perspective, because you've grown up in a different background. You have kind of, I don't say ideal, but this is less than what's in this part of the world where it's very patriarchal, right? So I want to get your perspectives on, first of all, issues around inequity. Have you seen that you think there's inequity in the workplace, things like gender gap, right? And I want you to marry it to the second question of what we're just discussing, that women complain that, oh, there's this guy who are paid less. However, they also want to be given these privileges, right? How can we marry that to, like, oh, if you're going to close by 4, if you're going to be given this, it's okay also for you to be paid less. So how do we marry these two? Is my question clear?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Thank you very much. I think when you look at the issue of inequality in terms of gender in the workplace, this mostly is attributed to certain male-dominated roles or industries like construction, maybe like in the banking sector, maybe marketing for women. So sometimes there's a bias or stereotype that okay, woman can only fit as a salesperson, or a man is more, suited to handle machineries. So there's some kind of biases that present itself in the workplace. However, I believe that as a woman, when you know what you want, you should go for what you want, irrespective of the fact that that's a male-dominated industry or sector. So, does this any inequity exist? Yes, they do. However, I feel like the onus is on the woman. The onus is on companies to put in the right policies that will ensure that women feel safe, women feel comfortable in those kind of work environments, right? Because as a woman, if I want to be, an astronaut, or if I want to be, just think about a male-dominated industry. Yes, if I want to pursue that career, that's what I want to do, and I go for it. And I feel like nowadays we love to see women take on those kind of roles. We love to say, "Wow, this is the only woman in this entire department or entire company." So I believe that women should actually know what they want and go for it. This is why these discrepancies in terms of pay gap, do they exist? They do exist, but most of the times women don't even know that they exist. That's the problem. Right? And most of the times because women don't even know their worth. They don't know their value. Women just take anything they take because for centuries women are conditioned and reconditioned to believe that they don't matter, to believe that they are worthless. So imagine being raised up in a family where your father is constantly telling you you're nothing. After all, you're going to end up in another man's house. You're going to take another man's name. You know what I mean? Like, why should I put you through school as a woman? And some societies or cultures that have this very terrible thinking, right? And so imagine a lady that is built to think and believe these things. She falls short of her potentials. She loses opportunities because it's ingrained in the mind, right? And sometimes when you come and they say, "Oh, this is what we have to offer you," they take it hook, line, and sinker. That, "Oh, thank God they said yes to me." They do not spend time to say, "This is what the job entails. This is what I'm going to do for you. This is what I have. This is the requisite skill set that I have that actually is going to help your company take another dimension." So sometimes we don't know the value we bring. And that's one of our biggest weakness as a woman. If I'm to give you one example, there was a contract that came through for me one time, and they said, "Oh, Queen, we saw your resume and we think you'll be a great person for this role. This is what we're offering you." The offer was great at first, and I was like, "Oh wow, wonderful!" And it was per hour. I was like, "Oh wow, this is good." But then I looked at the job role, the description. I said, "Oh no, this is not what I think I should merit for this." So I put another counter offer and I raised it to another 100%. Long story made short, we finalized at 75% raise from the initial offer. What am I trying to say with that is that when you know what you bring, you can negotiate. And women need to learn that negotiation skills. Like, look, this is who I am, this is what I have, this is what I'm going to bring, this is how I'm going to help your company grow. Let's set a milestone. Let's set some 3 months, 6 months, 1 year goal. And so when you put that challenge to them, they're going to take it. So I feel like it's how you present yourself. And when it comes to all these women and our little peculiarities about how we should we should be treated in the workplace because of our womanness. The truth of the matter is that we're women, we're not men. Our bodies are structured differently than a man's body is. And so, of course, we should demand those things. Why shouldn't we? Right? But if you look at Fortune 500 companies, they have all these things fully on deck. I work in organizations that they can even give you time off. Yes, for, as you mentioned, even for menstruation. That's why you have sick leave. So you have your pay time off. You're meant to take those, you're meant to utilize those things. That's what you call equity, to ensure that there's a balance right? That the woman's role is being taken cognizance of, and the man too as well. That's why you have also paternity leave coming up nowadays, and which is excellent because you also have men in some homes where they are the ones that take care of the family. The women are the ones that work, and so I feel like if you want to be a future thinking company, you need to think about this and make sure that everybody feels comfortable, because that's, to me, that's what equity is, right? Those policies need to be there, and women should be encouraged to take it. Where I worked previously, you have mental health psychologists who you can call for free, right? And talk about, this is what I'm going through, has issue at home and at the office, and they help you, they talk you out. Because the essence of it is to ensure that your staff is producing the best quality. Because if I'm a woman and I don't feel my best, and I tell you I don't feel my best, and you say, oh no, I can't produce the best at work in that day, I'm just going to sit down. My body is here, but my spirit is somewhere else. Sure. And so as a manager, you need to be very sensitive to this kind of things. You need to have good emotional intelligence, understand when somebody needs to take a break and go and rest. Thank you.
Oh, loaded. So when your contributions around women not being able to negotiate or knowing their worth, having imposter syndrome, I like those conversations because they draw to this thing about people saying, oh, women are like this. Oh, women fit in this kind of roles. Oh, women are like this. And they want to attribute it to nature. They want to attribute it to biology. And I always say genetics and biology is just one side of the coin, even a very low side of the coin, right? The environment, nurture, the role we've played in raising these women to be pleasers and people who want to be liked. I think that plays an even bigger role. I would like to know equity is helping people to kind of have that balance. I would like to get your perspective. I'll start with Queen and then I'll go around. I'd like to get your perspective on that. Do you think that it's important? People who criticize it, what do you think around that? And then I would like you to marry this question, and that goes for everybody, to the reason why, if you're in support that these activities are okay, to marry it to why we need women leaders, why we really need to do these things, to have more women. Are there advantages to having a woman as part of a team? Are there advantages to having a woman lead a country or lead a company? Why should we bother? Why don't we let things remain the way they are? So I'll take from Queen and then we'll go around and then the last question. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's a very, very good question to discuss today, particularly when you talk about equity. Because when equity really is, having a good balance and fairness. And I feel like for us to achieve that in the workplace, we really need the presence of women. The truth is that there's what women offer that men do not offer. Men are, driven, they're really driven and they're targeted. Mm-hmm. Women, because of the nature of a woman, mm-hmm. whereby you're taking care of your family, if you're a mother, you take care of the children. If you're married, you make sure that your husband is also well attended to, because women have the ability to be all places at once. There are different value that we can get from a woman leader, and that's why we need them in the workplace, because they can see things that a man cannot see, right? As a mother, we look at a child and read body languages, be able to see where the emotion changes. I feel like when a woman brings in that skill set into a workplace, you see that she knows how to talk better to her colleagues. You see that she knows how to be very smart in terms of how to respond, who to talk to. You know what I mean? I feel like these are things that are very critical. When a woman is being placed in a project, she picks out some details that a man overlooks. And we need women because of this kind of situations. When you talk about hiring for a position in leadership and maybe a man skills more than a woman on maybe like 5%, I feel like those things do not really count. The most important question is, do you want diversity in your organization? Where is your organization heading to? As a leader, as a manager, you need to think about this. What kind of, what culture am I trying to create? Where do I see this company go? What kind of people am I trying to attract into the organization? And when you have all those things in perspective, you can decide to hire a woman over a man. We're not saying that you should hire a woman for the mere fact that she's a woman. No, that doesn't make sense, because if you hire someone who doesn't bring value, then she is a weakling and thereby doesn't help the company grow either. So whereby a woman's skill set and man's skill set are at the same par, right? Maybe 5% less for the woman. I would say definitely hire a woman, because one, what you do is you bring in equity in your work environment. You bring in a different way of thinking, a different way of managing. Women are good managers, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so be different way of managing in terms of your work, in terms of the staff, in terms of, activities. Women also know how to think ahead, because a woman in the house, today is today, but you're already thinking about tomorrow. What food I'm going to have in the house? What do I need to go prep? What do I need to buy in the market? Because, so women, because of all this wonderful skill set that women have, I feel like this is going to be an added advantage to any organization.
Wow. I like your perspective. I'm just learning some new points from this. Thank you for that. Do you think we should keep on encouraging these programs or activities that try to bridge the gap, including women in the workplace? Why bother? Or should we just let things play its own need?
Absolutely, we should of course encourage more women, to get into the workplace. While Queen was speaking, I was just looking at myself, and different times when I just walk around in the office and then I see a colleague, by just men looking at the person, I can tell that this person is not fine. And I can tell you that 95% of the times, I was very correct. Like just men looking at the person. It wasn't like, I didn't set out to notice this. They weren't frowning their face like, oh, you don't feel so well. Is something bothering you? Do you want to have a conversation? And I feel that's something that I've been doing, all my life from home and all of that. So women just have that extra touch, right? And when you have diversity in the workplace, not only are we able to look at things from different angles, because of course how I process things is definitely different from how a man would process stuff, and women are also able to, just easily so empathize. I find that sometimes I'm having arguments with my male colleagues and they just don't understand where she's coming from. What are you even saying? Does it even make logical sense, right? But and I understand with them most times, because it's not just that they don't want to, do this particular thing. It's that as men, man, I'm looking at the goal. What are you saying? Right? Why bother how someone feels, emotions, mental health? What is that stuff? Oh, pour what's on your head, knock off, put on a shirt and we're fine. But as a woman, you know that it's beyond that, right? And this is where, of course, we really thank God for His awesomeness in creating a woman. The complexity around just being a woman brings extra color, extra spice to your life, and no workplace, actually, in my opinion, deserves to be denied the level of spice and flavor that women bring to the business world.
One of the mistakes leaders often make at times is to forget that organization is about the people.
Yeah.
Your people are your first customers. So you need to be able to tap into their motivations, to know what drives them, what are their fears. You need to get the soul of the person to be able to. So I think that's one of the things leaders miss. And even if you look at it from the product or service perspective, you want to be on a team deciding on a product. Let's say you want to design, work in international development services for healthcare, right? And not considering the women. You don't have a woman in your team to give that perspective, right? I think you'll be missing. You don't missing out on a lot.
One of the things I often say, right, is that when you give people, when people feel like you care about them, when people feel like you're looking out for them, they look out for your business. They look after your business. So I've been saying this a lot, that it's a two-way street, right? You give me your soul as a leader, as a manager, right? I would give my soul to the business as well. And that's what it is. People want to be seen. Yeah? And you don't, so imagine we didn't have spaces for women like an Ibukuna Wishika in the workplace. Imagine the kind of dynamism she's brought into, the furniture business. She shared her story as to when her business suffered, when that particular industry, in particular, and all of that of furniture suffered a setback in Nigeria, and now she didn't lay off her staff, right? And just listening to her, I could see a woman who was considering all the people. Oh, these people need to feed. These people need to.
That's right.
A man will say, you know what, guys, we don't have money to continue, so we're going to retrench, right? And she will tell her story that she pulled through that season with her people, and she's done so well. And that's the thing with women. Women are able to hold, the front, even when it seems like there's just so much. Right in the middle of the storm, right? A woman can still be still. She can just stand right in the middle of the storm, knowing that, hey, this storm will pass. I think it was Queen who said that women are able to see further, right? We're in today, but a woman is already thinking about, oh, what would tomorrow be like? So despite whatever it is, today we're afloat, we're in this season where we're making so much profit for the firm, so much this, so much that, or we're in this season where, it's a setback time. A woman is not in that place anymore, right? She's gonna have to begin to think that, if we do this, if we have people in top shape, what would it look like for us in another 6 months, another 3 months? And I know that for most businesses, longevity is also as good as quality as well, because when you hear that, I've been in this space for the last 100 years, then there's something really that you've been doing so well. And while you invest in your people and you keep that longevity of the business and then the people as well and all of that, it tells even your clients that there's something that you know about doing business well, and then you'll be trusted. So it's just that whole thing, and women definitely do have a place in the growth, and progression of organizations.
Interesting. I'm really seeing you because I really don't have this conversation at the office. To be honest, even as a woman, I didn't see a lot of these arguments. I was almost keen into, okay, it's true. It's true. If you can get a man to do this, why bother? So, but I'm really even learning a lot from this conversation. So, thank you. So, besides from your perspective as an early career professional, what do you think women bring? Do you think first of all women bring unique perspectives to the table, and if they do, what are some of the benefits of having women in the workplace, as employees, as leaders, and even as leaders of the country? Think of Nigeria, for instance.
Okay, first of all, I like to say, if you're born a woman, just add project manager to your CV.
I like that.
Aside from that, then the circumstances you're born, if you're the firstborn female, if you're the only child, if you're the only girl, if you are the last girl, you have elder brothers. But there's just not to be biased, but then if you're not born in a patriarchal home or maybe extended family, you're born in a very misogynistic environment. There's just some things that you have to bend to. You have to, because at some point you have to place others' needs above yours. What I was saying, that women just have to be project managers, because you just see the need that everybody has to be good at the same time. There's just that natural crisis management you will have. If this is not working, this is not working. You have to be on your feet every time. And there's just extreme ends with men. It's either yes or no. Before you find those that have let's just try to push further, it's either they are pushing with all their head. There's no let's sit back, think, re-strategize. Not all men, most men. I think it's just very direct with them. The way he said, don't narrow-minded, but the way he said it, yeah. But then women, they're like, okay, what if we do it this way? Let's try to cut the cost down. What if we do that? There's always a woman always trying to look ahead, look back, see around with these things. So firms, they need, in as much as they need more, is it not because of what we call this human capital from men?
Yeah.
They need human capital from men. They need women as much, emotional capital from women. There's just the need for that balance in office environment. So by the time you read, that's why people like Betty Friedman, she's one of the people I love the most, because she told the story of her mother, why she fought for liberal feminism. Before, the word feminism used to irritate me because I just saw people, they're just pushing agenda. But when I read back some stories and I'm like, oh no, I'm actually one of these people. And if not for these people, I wouldn't go to school if not for people like Betty Friedman. At the end of the day, this patriarchy feminism is just for us to see each other as human beings. With things like feminism, I feel like it's not supposed to exist. we just maybe it's humanism that we do because everybody should be treated as a human being. So yeah, to have that mixture, that blend of the feeling of humanity in the firm, in as much as we need men, we need women.
Wow, it's been interesting. As much as I'm enjoying this conversation more than I should. I ran away first because I don't want to talk about it, but I'm enjoying it, and we'll be rounding up. So, Mercy, I'll be asking for your perspective. I'm very, very interested in hearing your perspective on why we need women leaders. So, why do we need women leaders? And
If we want to have a society where equity actually is a real thing, if we want to have those in the positions, I feel that there is no better person to do that than women. Because if you are trying to create a balance, do you want a man to bring a woman's perspective? Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Like the example you gave about healthcare situation, you need a woman there to be able to say, to be able to speak for women, to be able to say, to bring in a woman's perspective, what women go through and all of that. So having women in leadership is very essential. Besides, women research has shown that women are very good managers. The best managers are actually women because of their natural nurturing skills. Right, women are more. Women have more empathy. They are more compassionate. They are more tactful. Although the pressure tends to push women to the other side to try to be forceful and all of that, but in themselves, women are naturals. They know how to. I feel that if you want to begin to maybe say the difference between leaders and managers, women may not be very good leaders, but women are excellent managers. That whole conversation about leadership, leaders and managers, is for another day. But when you look into it, women are better managers because they know how to gather people, they know how to bring out the best in people, they know how to influence people. So that is why I think that women should be in leadership roles, because every organization needs these things. They need people who would bring out the best from the best in their staff, and it doesn't happen by hitting the decks. It happens by influencing people. It happens by nurturing their skills. It happens by looking out for each other, because that way people feel loved, they feel protected, and they feel that they can actually give themselves to this cause.
Okay, so Mercy, it's been an interesting conversation. We've had conversations around challenges women face in the workplace, the advantages women bring to the workplace. So, what advice? This would be the concluding. It's also serve as a concluding remark. So, what advice do you have for women, especially young people, even mid-career women who are trying to ascend the corporate ladder or even as entrepreneurs, whatever sector? What advice do you have for them? And feel free to also touch on anything you feel we've left out that's important. Thank you.
We have mentioned that there is need for policies around equity to be enacted or established in different workplaces, but we must also not use that as an excuse, right? There's a thin line between maximizing these things or these policies and actually going overboard, right? Weaponizing your femininity to say, because personally, I don't feel very comfortable when a lady tells me that because she's on her menstrual cycle, she can't come to work. I don't feel comfortable with it. That's because I feel that, I don't know, this might be inappropriate because I'm a woman, but then this is my personal opinion. I feel that you should be able to put in the extra. How many people can you walk up to and tell that I can't come to work because I'm having a menstrual cycle? One time it can be excused, 2 times it can be excused. If it becomes a pattern, then it's a problem, right? You need to seek medical attention. You need to take proper leave and then seek medical attention. That's what I feel. So I just said that to address the point of trying as much as we can not to go overboard with these things. These policies are there to help us. They are not there to give us excuses. So when you don't have an excuse, don't create one because these policies are there. That's it.
Oh, interesting. Thank you for sharing those thoughts. Besides,
So for young women especially, especially people that are just starting out, I'll just say see yourself as a blank page. I mean, if you're just starting out like me, I'm 21, I'm just 21 years, yeah? And if I have not put myself down to learn, I wouldn't be having these conversations. Though I will not be able to relate with what so many of them are saying. I hope to fill in these shoes when and supersede these shoes ahead of time, yeah? As a young woman, you see all manner of things. You will be downplayed, you will be objectified, you'll be offered shortcuts, you'll be embarrassed, you feel stupid. But all these things, they're just nothing good comes easy. Yeah? You have to put yourself down, you have to humble yourself to learn. Somebody's good there are people okay. At some point, I think mid last year, somebody told me that I should leave where I'm working, I'll come and work with him, British High Commission, and I'm just going to be his girlfriend. And I'm going to be paid trips and everything. I mean, it sounded rosy, but it's like after my show, like resign quick, drop that, I can write the resignation letter for you. But that's not what I want. I don't want to be somebody's toy because I want to make it, irrespective of who you, as you've all said. Everything still has to be about you. It depends on whoever you want to be. If you want to be a pilot, go ahead, be a pilot if you want. And there's this thing with young people and aspiring for the biggest position ever. No, you have to climb the ladder. Baby steps, because if you're just there up at once, you would not see the details, you would not see the necessary things that you're supposed to know. They can't just make you see, what about managerial skill, what about human management, and so many. It's easy for you to do this thing if it's your personal business. You've seen that one go, but for a firm, you can't just desire a managerial position just like that. You have to pass through so many phases, and these phases, there'll be painstaking, there'll be the good days, there'll be the bad days, you will cry, you will laugh. There are some days you never know what you're doing at all, but that's fine because it's all about the process. And another thing you have to do is, as I said, always learn. Always learn. There'll be a point that they're seeing you like, oh, you don't know anything. I always use myself as an example. I didn't like writing when I joined this firm. Writing was something that I'd rather talk than write. Even in school, I'd rather talk than write. But then, as you got here, I have to write every week. And now I'm somebody is a consultant is entrusted with a document for him to write because he's trying to apply for something. And I sent it to him and he's like, oh, I'm very proud of what you've written. Like, I just had to tailor it to my own position. Everything you wrote is very good to go. Like, he kept on telling people that, oh, if you see the document you wrote for me, and these are part of the things you always, to get to that point where you have to be as a young person, you have to keep learning. Just yourself. If it's full, turn the next page, continue writing. That's what I had to say.
She mentioned something about not desiring to be up there because of the process. I would rather say that you should desire to be up there, but also be very conscious that there's a process.
It's a learning process.
There are stages, so you want to follow that process, to learn through, to grow through it, to that place where you actually desire. So there's nothing wrong with desiring, but then know that there are steps to it.
interesting. So, Victoria,
What I'll say to young women, for those who are aspiring to come into the workplace, is embrace yourself, right? All of you, the essence of who you are. We're all very unique in our own way. And although we are all women, but we're different. We have strengths. There's that person that you are. And so when you embrace you and you come into the workplace with that person you are, you find that it is easier for you to know what you need to work on, what you need to develop, and then what's also you need to improve on as well. And this helps a lot. I remember in my earliest days, as an entry level professional and all that, I'm very introverted. Yeah, very introverted. But this is a bit conflicting because I seem to have a lot of energy, but I am so introverted and I'd rather not speak to anybody. And you find yourself in human resources, right? And you need to manage people. You need to be in their space. They have to be in your space. And I struggled a lot because at first I just wanted to open my arms and just embrace everybody and show them that I can be that person that you want me to be. But I left work every single day drained. And I had to come to this place where I sat down with myself and said, hey, Victoria, who are you? I had to answer that question first and foremost. Who are you? Not who do people want you to be? Who is Victoria? And when I came to embrace myself was when actually I began having impact on the lives of my colleague. That was when actually I began really building that interpersonal relationship. And then even those personal relationships. And I dare to say that Chidima here, who is my friend on the panel, you know, we met at the workplace, right? And it's a beautiful relationship. And one of the things that she would always say is, while on this journey, while on your professional journey, it's a step of faith, right? You want to become a manager tomorrow, you want to be anything tomorrow, but it's a step of faith that must be coated with sincerity. You have to be sincere about where you are, what your current circumstances are. And while you are at that place, you're now bringing in everything that you need. Because as a young woman, nobody is going to give you the kind of growth that you're imagining, that you desire, because you're a woman, right? No matter how much we preach equity and stuff, if you don't develop the technical competence, the behavioral competence as well, nobody's going to open that door for you. And even when they open the door for you, they will kick yourself out of the room.
Oh, interesting. Thank you.
Sorry, I want to add to what Victoria said. There's a place of self-esteem when you're talking about it. So at some point, it's not all about the services you're trying to offer, who you're trying to be, where you're working. Like, you have to value yourself, as they've all been saying here, and that sincerity. You have to be true to yourself. So you're doing the work, but then don't be scared. Be confident in your ability. Like, last, they'll correct you. If you're wrong, they'll scold you. But then you know when you made the mistake. And yeah, your self-esteem is very much important. Because you're trying to learn, don't allow somebody to ridicule who you are just because they're trying to get the best out of you, get you discipline, drill you, mold you, fold you. You're not laundry, you're a human being. So don't take disrespect, don't let anybody disrespect you, and make sure your self-esteem is always at 100. Not pride, I'm not saying be proud. Appreciate yourself, let your self-esteem be high, because if you look down on yourself, that's when everybody's going to look down on you. It all starts from you.
Okay, thank you for that. So, Queen?
Yeah, thank you. I think my advice is threefold. For the younger women, I would like to say life is a marathon. So first thing first, discover yourself, believe in yourself, love yourself. You're an asset, you're not an imposter. Then you need to also build some soft skills, like learn how to communicate in written form and also verbally. You need to learn how to build a relationship. A relationship is the foundation on which your career actually grows. Then you need to learn how to identify sponsors. Sponsors are people who would speak for you in a room where no one could speak for you, where you don't have the opportunity to, be in such a gathering. So sponsors are really critical in your growth, in your career. Also identifying mentors. You have to consistently learn as you grow, and you need people that you can have some sort of alignment with in terms of role models, who you look up to, who you can go and call on for advices. You also need to, that is for mid-career women that are no longer entry level, you need to stop being afraid. So go out there, get the certificates, go out there, apply for promotion, go out there, just advance yourself. Don't be limited. Don't be afraid to take the next step. And then I think for advanced women, I would say make time for yourself, prioritize your mental health, and give back. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much for those. So we've come to the end of our conversation. We've explored issues around gender biases and gender stereotypes that women face. We've explored issues around inequity in the workplace and how we can mitigate them. We've explored why we need women, and this is one of the conversations that I enjoy the most, seeing the unique perspectives women bring to the table. And it's been an enlightening conversation. And if for me, what will I add? I would say for a woman, for anybody, and especially for a woman, right? Know who you are. And what does knowing who you are mean? What are your values? What are the things you want to compromise about? Where do you want to go? Who do you want to be? Not in terms of the career path per se, but there's something Stephen Covey will say in Seven Habits about the funeral parlor exercise. Imagining yourself, funeral parlor. What kind of person do you want? Your family, your colleagues. Who are those you want to speak at your funeral and what? So knowing that, beginning with that end in mind, will really guide you in whatever decisions you want to take, right? Know your strengths, know your competitive edge, but most importantly, know your weaknesses, because those are the those are the pitfalls that can destroy you, right? Then every other person has said this, but I think at the fulcrum of everything is that you have to be so good that they can't ignore you. That's really the title of a book. Because I can even tell from experience that when push comes to shove, and when people want to get things done, yes, they call on the results. You know, they say, oh, I don't like you, when you really want things to be done.
Yeah.
So be so good that they can't ignore you. It goes for every young person, but especially for women. Somebody said that I shy away from feminism advocacy and stuff. And I used to be I used to lead these conversations. Oh, women should do this, women should do that. And then I now realize that, okay, is it by saying this and pushing for this? I look at a woman like Chimamanda, and I look at a woman like Maya Angelou and Angela Merkel, and their action alone speaks to the power and influence of women. So finally, just to summarize, in addition to being so good that they can't ignore, you have to know that we are torch bearers.
Mm-hmm.
Even more important than advocating who we are, the impact we make speaks more about people saying we need to bring women to the table because these are the values. Yeah. So I've really learned and enjoyed this conversation. Thank you, Mercy, Busayo, Victoria, Queen. It's really enlightening. Thank you for listening. This is an initiative of Nextier. Nextier is a public policy consulting firm that works to address the critical development challenges in the continent. We have Nextier Power, SPDs, the Security, Peace and Development, Health, and our Electricity Hub. These are the divisions. You can go to our website to learn more about us. We talk about these issues and other development issues in Nigeria and in the African continent. Thank you.
Happy International Women's
Yeah,
Day!
yeah.